Margie, and welcome back to my kitchen. What I have here this is a candy bar on a stick. I did it on a stick because I thought it would be very easy to dip in chocolate this way. So these are, it's like a Heath bar, a toffee bar, score bar on a stick with chocolate, with really, really good chocolate on it. So inside, I don't know if you'll be able to see here, but there's toffee inside. Now this is the first candy I'm really making this season, and I'm very excited about it, and it's probably not going to be the last candy I'm going to make too, so I'm going to get started right away. When you make this, you want a very heavy bottom saucepan, and we're going to put the ingredients in and we're going to get cooking. This is a half a stick of butter. This is 3 tablespoons of water, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, I'm going to turn the flame on and get it stirred in. I'm just going to gently stir this sugar into the liquid so it doesn't get on, so the sugar doesn't get on the side of the pot. I'm going to stir it for a little while till the sugar dissolves, and then we're going to let it come to a boil. Now I'm going to put the thermometer in, and this little bulb, that little red bulb there on the end, needs to be underneath the liquid, which it is. The closer it comes to being ready, you'll stir it a little bit with this flat bottom wooden spoon that really helps to really scrape the bottom of the pan. Now I have it on high. It's going to be just fine. When this boils up, it's going to boil to about double the amount of the liquid that you see. That's how high it's going to get. That's about as high as it's going to get, and then it will actually come down a little bit. So when you pick your pan, take a look at your ingredients and make sure that your pan is at least large enough to handle it boiling up, but small enough that the bulb of the thermometer will go under the liquid. You can stir this occasionally and it won't hurt it, just to keep the temperature even. If you start to see it turning a little golden brown in the center, just to stir that out. And then I always wipe the side of my spoon in the same place every time. And I also have this spatula that can handle very high heat. So later on when I scrape out the candy, I don't have to worry about my plastic melting. Now I've gotten all ready to make the lollipops. I have my sticks ready, my trays, my cookie sheets with parchment paper on them, and in between the lollipops, if they stick, I mean if the candy flows together on the lollipops, I'm going to cut them with this, and that will be fine if it does actually, because then it will make it straight lines. And then for my funnel with the toffee or this candy in it, I'm putting it in a teacup. So just in case this little ball lets some of the candy out, it'll just flow into here. As your candy cooks, it's going to change to this nice caramel color, and if it seems to get too dark in one spot, just go ahead and pull that away from the side and stir that in, keep the color even. I have this little white plate because I like to drop a little bit of candy to see the color. I'm going to cook it until it's done, and then I'm going to see what temperature it is because I really don't go by a thermometer. But for you guys, I'm going to try to figure it out today. It's almost up to 280. Most recipes want you to bring it up to 300. I've always found that's a little bit too high for this. So you have to move your thermometer because that's really where it gets a little darker, and you don't want that burnt flavor in your toffee. Okay, this is almost done. It's about 290, so I'm going to take this out, turn off the flame. We're going to bring it over. See that color? I'm going to pour this right into my funnel. It's going to keep cooking. I'm going to get it all in there because when you have it, sometimes you can transfer candy into another pot that doesn't have such a hot bottom because it will continue to cook. So I'm just going to open up the little hole by pulling up the stick and run it along the stick. Yep. Be careful because this stuff is super duper hot. When you're done with all of your candy pots, just put them in some very hot water from the sink and let them soak, and you shouldn't have to scrub at all. Just leave them in there for 15 minutes, all the sugar will be gone. That includes everything, your wooden spoons, your thermometer, your plate, everything. Just try to fit it all in there and let it soak. You need to make sure that your lollipops are completely cool before you dip them in chocolate. And I have a couple of kinds of chocolate here I'm going to show you. This one, these are the little discs. And I got this at a candy supply store. And you can get this also at a craft shop like Michael's Crafts or Pat Catan's. They usually have Wilton, which Wilton is a wonderful brand. It has a wonderful flavor. And when you heat them up, you just heat them up very slowly, like a minute for the very first melt, and then a half a minute, and then a half a minute and you keep stirring it until they're melted. You don't have to worry about tempering it. This is a little block of very good chocolate that I also got at a candy supply store. So I'm going to take this chocolate that I've chopped up. I'm going to take most of the very large pieces, and I'm going to melt this extremely slowly. I'm going to save some of this out, the more finely grated chopped up ones, because then I can add that later to cool it down even more. But I'm going to do this very slowly, like maybe 15 seconds at a time, and then stir it. Because if I keep this chocolate below 90 degrees, it will temper in my refrigerator. It'll be just fine. I've already done this for 30 seconds. I've done it for 15 seconds 2 times. And it's starting to get a little shiny, and it's starting to melt. At one point, it's just going to melt right out, even with the 15 seconds, so don't hurry. And these glass bowls, they also they also warm up a little bit in the microwave, so be careful. Every time I put this in the microwave, I use the scraper. So I've been scraping the chocolate down and adding some chocolate because it started to melt down and I wanted to make sure it stayed cool. So this chocolate is beautiful right now. And I'm going to go ahead and of course I don't have a deep container here. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the chocolate on like this. Give it a little decoration. You can sprinkle some nuts on these. One of the reasons I ice these is because the toffee attracts water. It's nice just to seal your toffee with something.